All right, welcome everybody. Our next guest on this series is our phenomenal Chief Coaching Officer and Leadership Coach Forum, a personal mentor of mine, a great leader for our whole team, and who keeps all the rest of us coaches on track. So I'm so excited to be able to ask this set of questions for our viewers and our client base and our potential client base to get to know you a little bit more. So thanks so much for taking the time and jumping on and doing this video.
My pleasure. I'm so excited to be here.
My first question, and a lot of these are questions that I already know, but some of them I'm going to get you with some questions that I do want to know. My first question for any of the clients watching this is, why is their success important to you? When someone comes to you and they want to become a stronger leader, a better leader, or even just become a leader, and you help guide them through that process and give them those tools, why? What's your deeper why for your participation in that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I'm going to answer it in two ways. One, it's not just my clients. Any AMALV client success is important to me. And the way we have 9 culture commandments here. And one of the commandments is, my success is yours and yours is mine. And the concept behind that is, when you win, I win. When you're happy, I'm happy. When you get to uncover all of these great things about yourself and make amazing impact, I get to feel a small part of that. And that feels good to me. And to see our clients thrive, whether you're working directly with me or with another coach within AMALV, it's, there's a personal satisfaction on a business level. I mean, that's how reputation gets built. This is not a one in and done. It's not a transactional relationship. We only exist if you have a transformative experience. And we exist when you win, and whatever winning looks like for you. And so I'm rooting for you, whether I'm working with you or not, or you're working with any of our coaches, because that's important.
I love that answer, because you touched on something important there about reputation building and that long-term thinking. So that's my next question for you, is when you're working with a client or when you're helping one of us work with our clients, how do you keep yourself focused on long-term sustainable thinking instead of getting into fixing just 5-minute problems and ignoring the long-term? What do you keep yourself and your clients focused on the long-term?
This goes back to experience. To me, how we manage through an experience rather than the what matters most. There was a podcast that I listened to by Dan Heath, and they talk about the power of experiences. And what they're really referring to is, when you have peak moments in your life, and the example they gave is, let's say you start a new job. And what they did is, this one company would make their first day on a Friday. And so on a Friday, you get to start your new job. You're the beer cart person. So you go around the office handing out beers, and then they give you a gift card, like a $50 or $100 gift card for you and a friend or a spouse or a colleague to go out to dinner. You never forget that. You always associate that experience with that job, no matter what happens afterwards. And that is what I want to bring to AMALV, which is the experience that you get. So if you're frustrated or something happened, and that means we need to pay out of our own pocket to get you to where you need to, we're going to do that, because one, it's the right thing to do. Number two, it's especially in times of those peak moments, you're going to remember how we treated you.
Ooh, I absolutely love it. And it gives me a great follow-up question. This is something for our viewers I don't already know, so I'm really excited to hear this answer. Tell me about a peak moment for you at AMALV, a peak moment, something you associate with that really great memory. Tell me an example of that for you here.
That's a really great question. I'm going to say a big one probably has been just in the recent change of events. I mean, COVID hit us hard, especially in the beginning. And during that rough time, we were really scared about, what does that mean for our clients? What does that mean for our coaches and the livelihoods? And, the other thing we're trying to do is think about, what can we do for our community? And one of the first initiatives that we started to implement during COVID, because everyone was getting laid off, is what we call the Job Search Starter, and JSS for short, where we gave free career counseling to anyone who was impacted by COVID, because it was important for them to be able to navigate through that tough space. The amount of enthusiasm and receptivity that we saw with our coaches. Like, that was a really humbling moment for me, and also a peak experience, because when I was so concerned about livelihood and money, what I saw on the flip side was just how much our coaches cared about not just ForamALV Vita, but about doing the right thing and about anyone in the community.
That's such an inspiring answer, because when I asked what's a peak moment for you, you picked a dark time where we persevered and where the community and the coaches came together. I find it really interesting that you didn't pick a really, great time. You didn't pick a time where things were easy. You picked a time when things were hard, and we worked through it. When you're working with clients, or when you're working with coaches that are on your team, because in a way you're doing the same thing with both of them, you're making them better leaders in every capacity. How do you focus on that? How do you focus on getting through the toughest times, as opposed to looking for just the good times that happen organically? I mean, what keeps you focused on solving problems?
Well, besides my consulting background, actually what I try to do is, sometimes in the coaching world, we can get really caught up on, but this is what the goal of the client is, or this is the process that we're going through. And we can get so caught up in trying to adhere to a process or an original goal we had, because that was a commitment we made to our clients. And I think the one thing that I try to bring to the table is recognizing when we completely need to pivot and say, like, let's throw all of that out the window for a moment. Because right now what the client needs is this. And we need to think outside of the box. And if that means that the client needs to work with another coach because they are experiencing major burnout, and we have a coach who's an expert in burnout and stress, let's make that happen. We don't need to be so stuck on the way we do things.
I love your willingness to say sometimes you got to chuck it all, because sometimes you do. You have to chuck it all.
You do?
I have a big question for you, and I think it's something that viewers of this are really going to want to know. I've had this question asked by clients in the past. How do you coach the woman in the mirror? As you help all these other people be better leaders, whether they're your clients, the coaches under you, you are clearly a huge leader. You're a leader of leaders. So how do you look at the woman in the mirror and say, I want this person to be a better leader every day? And what do you do to make that happen?
Great question. It's a lot harder for me to take my own advice than it is for me to coach others. The wonderful thing about working with ForamALV Vita and the people I'm joined by is everyone is a coach to me. And so I have that status checkpoint, the regulation that I think I need that keeps me in check. I think the other thing I'm always thinking about is, I ask myself a few questions every day, which is, am I showing up for our team? Am I showing up for our clients? And anything else that gets in the way, that's what I need to recognize and fact check.
Ooh, let me ask you, this is our wrap-up question then. For your clients, whether they be, I'm going to be the clients, or I'll even consider me one of your clients, do you think that for anybody, it's a good idea to boil it down that simple, to get yourself one or two solid questions like that you're saying these are the primary things? Do you think that for almost anybody that's a reality?
I think it's something we should all aspire to. And the reason why I say that is because typically then we have a very long laundry list. These are all the things that are important to me. And then these are the nice to have. And then these are the things that I wish I could have, etc. And so that gets really confusing and we lose focus. And one of the things I've learned now as an entrepreneur is you need to have focus, and you need to understand what is the most important thing for you, or maybe two things for you in that moment that you're in. For me, it's not always about work. Sometimes it's about family. But the phase I'm in my life, it's about work. And that's how I focus on what I need to focus on.
Love it. And I once again, thank you so much for the time here. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't also thank you for all the time you've ever given me as a mentor and as my leadership coach. And you've just done wonderful things with the company and the team here. We're very grateful for it. So anybody watching at home, this is Foram. This is the progenitor of our coaching knowledge right here. It flows from her. So if you want to reach out to anybody on the team, but on this video, we're promoting her specifically. So reach out, send her a message, send her an email, get in contact. We absolutely want to hear from you. And once again, Foram, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for having me.